5 scary true horror stories. The call that came from nowhere. It started with a phone call that should never have existed. At exactly 2:17 a.m. on a night where the wind outside sounded like distant whispers scraping against the walls, Rafik's phone lit up. No number. No name. Just a call. At first he ignored it, like most people would. But then it rang again. And again. And again. 5 times in total. By the 6th ring, something felt wrong. Not urgent, not important, just wrong, like something quietly insisting it shouldn't be ignored. Rafik finally picked up. Hello. There was no answer. Only breathing. Slow, uneven, wet. He frowned. Hello, who is this? The breathing stopped instantly. Then a voice came through. But it wasn't normal. It sounded like his own. You shouldn't have answered. Case background. Rafik lived alone in a small rented apartment on the outskirts of town. The building was old, not abandoned, but neglected in a way that made everything feel temporary. The kind of place where people came and left without questions. He worked night shifts as a delivery driver, so being awake at 2 a.m. wasn't unusual. But what happened next was, after the call ended, his phone screen went completely black. No signal. No battery indicator. Nothing. It was as if the phone had died instantly. But when he tried turning it back on, it lit up again, 100% battery, full signal. And no record of the call. No missed call. No incoming number. Nothing in the logs. The second night. The next night at exactly 2:17 a.m. it happened again. This time, Rafik didn't hesitate. He answered immediately. Who are you? Silence. Then, a faint sound. Not breathing this time. Something else. A dragging noise. Like something heavy being pulled across a floor. Slowly. Closer. And closer. Then the voice returned. Open the door. Rafik froze. Because at that exact moment, someone knocked. 3 times. From the outside. The door. He stood there, staring at the door. The knocking didn't come again. But something was there. He could feel it. That unnatural pressure, the kind that fills a room when something is watching you, even if you can't see it. Who's there? He asked. No response. Just silence. The kind of silence that feels louder than sound. He looked through the peephole. Nothing. Just an empty hallway. But when he opened the door, the hallway light flickered. And for a split second, he saw it. At the far end of the corridor, a figure, standing completely still, facing him. Description of the figure. Rafik later described it to the police. But his statement never made it into any official report. According to him, the figure was tall, too tall. Its arms hung lower than they should. Its head slightly tilted. And its face. There was no face. Just darkness. Not shadow. Not absence. Just something that shouldn't exist. And then, just like that, it was gone. The third call. Rafik didn't sleep after that. He sat in his room, lights on, staring at his phone. Waiting. And at exactly 2:17 a.m. again. It rang. This time before he could answer. A message appeared. Unknown sender. No number. Just text. You opened the door. His hands started shaking. Then another message. Now I can come inside. Escalation. Over the next few days, things got worse. Objects in his apartment began moving. Not dramatically, just slightly. A chair that wasn't where he left it. A glass turned the wrong way. Footprints near the bathroom, wet, even when the floor was dry. And the calls never stopped. Every night. 2:17 a.m. Always the same. Sometimes silence. Sometimes whispers. Sometimes his own voice. The recording. On the fifth night, Rafik decided to record the call. He used another phone. Set it beside him. Waited. 2:17 a.m. The phone rang. He answered. "Why are you doing this?" The voice replied instantly. "You already know." After the call ended, he checked the recording. And what he heard wasn't the same conversation. Instead, the recording captured something else entirely. A different voice. Deeper. Distorted. And one sentence repeated over and over. "He let me in." Final incident. 3 days later, Rafik disappeared. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. No evidence. Just an empty apartment. But the landlord reported something strange. Every night at exactly 2:17 a.m., Rafik's phone, which had been left behind, would ring. Even though it had no SIM card. No network. No power. And if anyone answered, they would hear breathing. Case status. The case was never solved. No suspects. No explanation. But tenants who moved into that apartment afterward all reported the same thing. A call. At exactly 2:17 a.m. From nowhere. 5 scary true horror stories. Part 2. The bus that never reached its destination. There are some routes drivers refuse to take. Not because they're dangerous. Not because of accidents. But because of what people claim to have seen while traveling through them. This is one of those routes. And this story begins with a bus that left on time, but never arrived. Route 47, the night service. In late 2019, a privately operated night bus known as Route 47 ran between two districts, cutting through a long stretch of rural road surrounded by dense forest. It wasn't a popular route, but it was necessary. Workers, students, and occasional travelers depended on it. The journey usually took 2 hours and 40 minutes. But one night, it took forever. The driver, Camel had been driving buses for over 12 years. He wasn't the type to believe in ghost stories. He had driven through storms, broken roads, even riots. Nothing scared him anymore. Until that night. According to company records, the bus departed at 11:35 p.m., carrying 11 passengers. Weather conditions were normal. No warnings. No alerts. Everything was routine. Until 12:58 a.m. The first irregularity. At exactly 12:58 a.m., Camel reported something unusual over the radio. His voice was calm but slightly confused. "There's someone standing in the middle of the road." The dispatcher asked if it was an accident. Camel responded, "No, just standing there, not moving." The dispatcher told him to honk. He did. Multiple times. The figure didn't move. Passenger testimony. Only one passenger would later be found. And his statement was never publicly released. But parts of it leaked online. According to him, the figure was a woman. She was wearing white. Her hair completely covered her face. And she was barefoot. The bus slowed down. Then stopped. No one spoke. No one moved. Then, without warning, the woman stepped aside. Slowly. Letting the bus pass. The silence. After passing her, something changed inside the bus. The engine sounded different, heavier, muted, and according to the passenger, no one spoke for the next 20 minutes. Not even whispers. It was as if something had entered the bus. Not physically, but present. The second stop. At approximately 1:23 a.m., the bus stopped again. This time without instruction. Camel didn't press the brakes. The bus just stopped, right in the middle of the forest road. Engine still running. Doors still closed. But the lights inside the bus flickered. Once, twice, then went completely out. What happened in the dark? The passenger described the next few minutes as the longest of his life. Total darkness. No movement. No sound. Until someone knocked. From inside the bus. Not from outside. From within. 3 knocks. From the rear. The count. Then a voice spoke. Not loud. Not aggressive. Just calm. Clear. And wrong. There are too many. No one responded. No one dared. Then the voice spoke again. One of you wasn't here before. The lights return. When the lights came back on, one seat was empty. A man who had been sitting near the back was gone. No one saw him leave. No door had opened. No window was broken. He was simply not there anymore. Driver's final transmission. At 1:41 a.m., Camel made his last radio call. This time, his voice was not calm. It was shaking, panicked, barely understandable. They're not the same. They're not the same people. I picked up 11. There are more now. The dispatcher tried to respond, but the signal cut off. Discovery of the bus. The bus was found the next morning, parked on the side of the road. Engine off. Doors open. No passengers inside. No driver. Nothing. Except mud footprints leading in, but not out. The survivor. The only surviving passenger was found 2 kilometers away, walking barefoot along the highway. He was in shock, disoriented, unable to speak properly for hours. When he finally did, he only said one thing. She never got off. Investigation findings. Authorities searched the entire route. No bodies. No signs of struggle. No evidence of an attack. The bus interior showed no damage. But one detail stood out. The seating count. Originally, 11 passengers. But investigators found 13 sets of seat impressions. Unexplained detail. Even more disturbing. The CCTV camera inside the bus was recovered. But the footage was corrupted, except for one frame. A single still image, taken at 1:22 a.m., just before the lights went out. It showed the aisle, and at the far end, a figure standing inside the bus, where no one had been sitting before. Aftermath. The route was permanently shut down. Camel and the missing passengers were never found. Locals still avoid that road after midnight. And some claim, if you stand there long enough, you'll see headlights in the distance. A bus approaching slowly, stopping right in front of you. Doors opening. Waiting. 5 scary true horror stories. Part 3, the last recording. Some people disappear without a trace. No evidence. No witnesses. No explanation. But sometimes, they leave something behind. This is one of those cases. The ranger Armin Hassin. Armin Hassin was a forest ranger assigned to a protected reserve deep within a restricted zone. The forest was known for its density. Satellite signals were weak. Radio communication often failed. But none of that was unusual. What was unusual was the number of missing persons reports connected to that area. Hikers, woodcutters, even locals, all gone. No bodies, no clues, just absence. Assignment log day 1. Armin began documenting his patrol using a handheld recorder. Standard procedure. His voice at first was steady. Professional. Entering Sector 12, no visible disturbances, weather stable. Everything seemed normal. But later that evening, things began to shift. The first sign. Around 6:40 p.m., Armin recorded something strange. You can hear it clearly in the audio file. Leaves crunching. Footsteps. But not his. He stops walking. The sound continues. A second set of footsteps. Following him. Matching his pace. Audio transcript recovered. Hello. If someone's out here, identify yourself. Silence. Then, the footsteps stop. At the exact same moment he stops recording. Day 2, deeper into the forest. The next recordings show a change in tone. Less confident. More alert. More aware. There are markings on the trees, not animal, not natural. Investigators later confirmed this. Symbols carved into bark. Repeated patterns. Always at eye level. Always facing the same direction. Leading deeper into the forest. The whispers. At approximately 11:13 a.m., something appears in the recording that cannot be explained. Armin is speaking. Mid-sentence. Then, another voice overlaps. Faint. Almost hidden. But it's there. It doesn't match his voice. And it doesn't sound human. When enhanced, the voice appears to say, "Don't turn around." He turned anyway. The next part of the recording is chaotic. Breathing. Fast movement. Branches snapping. Then, silence, followed by one sentence. Spoken slowly. Carefully. Not in panic, but in realization. There's more than one. Nightfall. Armin did not return to base that night. Search teams were deployed the next morning. They found his camp. Untouched. Equipment intact. No signs of struggle. But the recorder was still running. Final recording. The last audio file is 17 minutes long. Most of it is silence. But around the 14-minute mark, you hear something. Footsteps. Circling. Multiple. Different directions. Then, voices. Not one. Not two. Many. All whispering. All at once. None of them clear. Except one. Louder than the rest. Closer. Right next to the microphone. He stayed. The end. The recording cuts off abruptly. No final words. No scream. Nothing. Just silence. Investigation results. Armin Hassin was never found. Search teams combed the entire area for weeks. No body. No remains. No trace. But they did find something else. The trees. Deeper inside Sector 12. Investigators discovered a cluster of trees. All marked. All carved with the same symbols Armin described. But there was something new. Something that wasn't there before. One additional carving. Fresh. Still wet. Different from the others. Crude. Uneven. As if done in a hurry. It read, "Do not follow. Unexplained evidence." The most disturbing detail came later. Audio analysts reviewed the final recording. They isolated the whisper, the one closest to the microphone. And when they cleaned the audio, they found something impossible. The voice saying he stayed matched Armin's voice. Exactly. 5 Scary True Horror Stories. Part 4, The Village That Sleeps Too Quiet. There are places where nothing happens. No crime. No conflict. No noise. Places so quiet. They feel wrong. This is one of those places. The village. The village had no official name on most maps. Locals simply referred to it as Shantipur. It was small, isolated, surrounded by fields and patches of forest. Fewer than 60 residents. And one rule everyone followed. Without exception, no one stays awake after midnight. Initial reports. The first attention came from a health worker assigned to the area. She noticed something unusual. Every resident, regardless of age, reported going to sleep at exactly the same time. Between 11:45 p.m. and 12:00 a.m. And none of them ever woke up during the night. Not once. No insomnia. No disturbances. Nothing. Perfect sleep. Every night. The missing man. Then one man broke the pattern. His name was Jalal. He told neighbors he planned to stay awake one night, just to see what would happen. He laughed about it, said the village superstition was nonsense. That night, he didn't sleep. What happened next? According to nearby residents, at around 2:30 a.m. a sound was heard. Not loud, but distinct. A door opening. Then, footsteps, walking slowly through the village. From one house to another, stopping briefly at each, then moving again. Morning. By sunrise, Jalal was gone. His door was open. His bed untouched. No signs of struggle. No footprints leading away. Just absence. The pattern. After that incident, more reports surfaced. Quietly, reluctantly, people admitted. This wasn't the first time. Every few years, someone disappears. Always someone who stayed awake. Always the same pattern. And always, no evidence. The research team, a small investigation team, was sent to document the phenomenon. They decided to test the claims. 3 members volunteered to stay awake overnight. They set up cameras, audio recorders, motion sensors, everything. At 11:58 p.m., the entire village went silent. Not gradually, not naturally, instantly, as if someone had flipped a switch. 12:00 a.m. The recordings show something strange. Inside every house, people stopped moving at the exact same moment. Mid-action, mid-breath, still, asleep. 2:17 a.m. At exactly 2:17 a.m., every device began to malfunction. Cameras flickered, audio distorted, static filled the recordings. But one camera, just one, captured something. The footage. The footage shows the main dirt path through the village. Empty. Still. Then, a shape appears, not entering from any direction, not walking in, just there, standing in the middle of the road. Description: the team later described it as human-shaped, extremely tall, limbs slightly elongated, movement delayed, unnatural. It didn't walk. It shifted, like frames missing from reality. The movement. The figure moved from house to house, stopping briefly at each door. Not knocking, not entering, just waiting, then moving on. The last house. When it reached the house where the three researchers were staying, it stopped longer, much longer. The camera began glitching heavily, but one detail remained visible. The door, slowly opening, on its own. Inside the house, the internal camera failed completely. Only audio remained. What investigators heard was never officially released, but a transcript leaked. Leaked transcript partial. Silence. Low-frequency sound. Voice 1 researcher, don't move, don't. Sound of something dragging. Voice 2 whispering, it knows. Long pause. Unknown voice, this one is awake. Morning after. By sunrise, 2 of the 3 researchers were gone. No signs of struggle. No trace. The third was found outside, unconscious, alive, but changed. The survivor. He refused to speak for days. When he finally did, he said only one sentence, over and over. It doesn't take everyone, it chooses. Final detail. Before leaving the village, the team reviewed the footage one last time, frame by frame, looking for anything they missed. And they found something. Something no one noticed before. The impossible frame. In one single frame, just before the camera failed, the figure was visible up close, standing in the doorway. And its face was not blank, not shadow, not darkness. It was different faces, layered, overlapping, dozens of them, all slightly out of sync, all staring directly at the camera. Case status. The village remains inhabited. The rule remains unchanged. No one stays awake after midnight. Ever. Because those who do don't stay long.